right, so today I'm going to be going over implementation for Instagram enrichment system, RFQ processing system, and a vertical video generation system. So if you came to this video interested in one of these things, I'll put the timestamps in the description below, so you guys can hop around and go to the system that you want to actually view and look through that. So essentially what this video will be about is me going through some Upwork jobs. There's always new AI implementation sort of jobs that are there every day. So I scrape them. I look at which ones I want to be able to build and look at, and I present the video to you guys so you guys can see how I would implement it and how you can implement it for these businesses as well. So my name is AJ. I run a Jegnia systems where we build and automate businesses and their systems. And if you need help, if you're a business and you need help as well, please click the link below, jegnia.com, and you can contact us for any business inquiries. So let's get into the video. All right, so we're just gonna go through basically the job posting, and then we can I'll kind of explain what they're asking for, and then from there we'll go on to the actual information document that I came up with. So all right, let's go. So build a local AI operations platform for procurement, RFQ, logistics, and finance. So this is kind of like a full stack application that they want us to build. So build a local AI operations platform for RFQs. RFQs are basically requests for quotations. So it's usually with service-based businesses, people come in and request for like a quote or some sort of requests for the service. So they give in their details, their contact information, and things like that. And then it's basically like an official documentation that's used pretty heavily in the service-based businesses. Procurement is basically just procurement documentations for like procuring materials and things like that. Logistics is like transportation, finance, and email automation is straightforward. So we're looking for an experienced AI automation engineer, full stack developer to design and build like yada yada yada. It's not a chatbot project. So they're really looking for a full stack developer, which is me, or one of you guys who can also build this for them. The object is to build an operations AI system that manages the complete workflow from receiving the request for a quote or 10 days or tenders until project delivery and financial closure. The platform will initially support DefendX partners and later DefendX logistics. So let's just search what this actually is, because so the vendor partner strategic representing solutions. So UK Registered Defense and Security Representation Firm, officially recognized by. Okay, so it's like a UA defense entity. Later, DefendX Logistics. So this is like the actual company involved, I guess. Enterprise AI security and private AI platforms. So these are pretty big automated compliance for okay. Yeah, so those I guess are the main platforms that they're using. Sure, services, check out services. Okay, cool. So they actually give us like the whole core business workflow as well. This is kind of like atypical for Upwork posting. Is very detailed. So basically what the workflow they want is RFQs received, document processing, and then procurement assigned, supplier outreach, quotation collection, commercial comparison, bid submission, purchase orders, and then logistic execution and finance follow-up and project closure. So basically this is pretty typical for a service-based business. So I also work as a project coordinator back in the day for a construction company. So I work for a few, actually 3 different ones, and this is basically a job for a project coordinator or project manager where you kind of get like a quote, and then you reach out to different vendors and things like that, and then figure out like the finances, how much it's going to cost, if it's within budget and things like that. So having this like very heavily automated saves up a lot of time, especially project coordinators and project managers get paid quite a lot or a decent amount. So something like this would save someone a lot of time and essentially money, right? So so the main modules, they want the RFQ and tender processing. The system will monitor designated folders or emails to new RFQs. So some sort of consistent monitoring. Read the PDFs, scan documents, an OCR scan file. I'm surprised they even put the OCR like technology. So they're pretty well informed, or they use like ChatGPT or something like that to put this all together, which is fine. This just helps people get like the type of person you want, right? So The platform should assign RFQs to procurement staff, recommend the suppliers based on platforms or EM and previous histories. Company price. The format is kind of jagged, but whatever. Maintain supplier profile, including information. Cool email operation agents. So prepare draft replies, support the system to read incoming emails, classify emails, detect new RFQs, extensions, quotations. Okay, so there's some sort of email monitoring system. Commercial and quotation module. The system should compare supplier quotations, calculate costs, freight, total, so calculations. So finance modules, so we'll track customer invoices, supplier invoices, receivables, logistic modules as well. This is pretty long, but we're just getting towards the end here. Email daily reporting, so they want emails as well. So they want to also like a front end aspect to this as well. So a CEO dashboard, so where you can display all the active like RFQs, upcoming deadlines, quotations, etc., etc. So they even offer up like the preferred technologies, which is what it will be in my documentation. So Fast API Docker for Dockerizing images. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically like a Dockerized image where you can kind of throw it up in the cloud or like anywhere, any computers, like servers or anything like that. And your application will essentially work the same no matter what environment it's in. So it just builds up consistency for people, and yeah, Dockerizing your application is very important in some of these aspects, right? So you have Fast API is just basically API for Python. PostgreSQL is the database. It's a relational database. You can probably also use Supabase or something like that. It doesn't need to be PostgreSQL. Supabase is under the hood, but you get what I mean. It's for these purposes. So vector databases, OLAMA or another local large language model runtime, OCR engine. OCR engines are basically would be useful for interpreting the scan documentation. So it just takes images and kind of converts it into like readable text. So if you have like a form that someone filled out by hand, it'll be able to scan that and pull out all the words and like all the text from it. So it's good for your large language model or to convert it into like structured data. REST APIs, pretty self-explanatory as well. Not really, I guess. If you don't know what that is, REST APIs are basically operations that HTTP operations that so essentially if like for this it would be something like get latest RFQ or something like that. So someone would hit this endpoint and then you'd be able to pull that whatever you want from that based on whatever configuration you made in that service. So like if you wanted a get quote endpoint, you get like the latest quote or something like that. Yeah, so next is Microsoft Graph API. What do we need? All these different types of APIs. So React or Next.js dashboard. So that's good. Essentially like very common things that I normally work with. So this is actually very well put together. Anything a large language model may be used as knowledge interface, but it should not be the core operational platform. So AI is used in this, but it's very much a full stack development. So yeah, so now that we've covered that, let's move on to the actual implementation guide. Let's go here. So I actually put down a document, and you can access this through our school community. So it'll be all in like the classrooms and stuff like that. There's like a section for downloading all this documentation, so you guys can follow along, or really whatever you like help it as like a template for how you would build it for someone like this, right? So essentially our outcome would be ingest a sample RFQ locally, extract those line items, route uncertain part numbers to review, and export or track RFQ without exposing a production data. So this is kind of building out like the smallest, most credible version of this application. Since this is such a big system, I might actually make like a full video for this, for breaking down like what how we would actually go about this and actually implement this as a full stack end to end. I haven't actually like suggested this for like actually put in a proposal for this job, but I figured it'd be good to actually as like a video idea. Okay. So reference build, drop a synthetic RFQ into a watched folder and show it become a reviewable RFQ board item with validated lines and an audited trail. So this is just a minimal viable product. So we're essentially RFQs, yeah, how to use this guide, review. So the exact tools that we're being using as suggested by the job poster, we'll be using Docker Desktop. So what it owns is to run the full stack development process, and then we can install that locally for now. And then Postgres will be used as our database, and the Fast API in Python. It'll be used for creating our API and any backend logic that we need. React and TypeScript, we'll use that as our front-end application, and then OCR MyPDF and Test React for the OCR scan document flow, basically, right? And then for locally, we can use Olama as our kind of our large language model, Minio for local S3 compatible documentation, and then Microsoft Graphs for phase 2 email intake. So yeah, so essentially this document just gives us the environmental variables, and then first we'll be having we'll have the watch folder, basically the folder that we're going to be kind of watching as new RFQs are placed into it. It'll go into triage, and then we'll text OCR it, kind of extract out all the relevant information with our large language model, validate it, and then review and add it to our review board. So essentially, is what I wrote here. Ingest the sample RFQ locally, extract the line items, route uncertain part numbers to review, export to track the RFQ without exposing production data. So you basically have to build it in this exact order. So boot the local stack. So we start up Postgres, Minio, Olama API, and then we create like all the schema entities that we need for that. Build a deterministic triage. So hash the files, reject duplications, use the native PDF parsing or before OCR or any large language model hits it. Extract and validate the line items, review and export, and then add operational ORM. So if there's any like issues with the whole operation, or if there's any stale workers, or is healthy, unhealthy or anything, we can set up alarms, or we can also set up different like notifications. If the client has Slack or something like that, they can get like a notification that there's a new RFQ ready for review, and then someone can go in and review it very quickly through the link or whatever that's available there. Here are some also like failure handling suggestions that I've added in here, and then a validation checklist. So basically, the same file cannot create a second RFQ. Digital Excel PDF file never go through the OCR. Unknown part numbers always require review. Every correction creates an audit event, and the install works using synthetic data only. And these are like just repeatable tests. Definitions of done. One end-to-end record reaches the expected final output. So if you put in a record RFQ, then you'll be right to the end. It gets to the point of actually being able to review it. The same event or input can be replayed without creating a duplicate. So same events, you don't want multiple review events or anything like that to happen, right? So for the same RFQ. And yeah, so this you should also have a test for intentional failures, so you can test that out. So secrets and real customer data are absent from repositories, logs, and shared deliverables. So when you're creating the applications, you don't want any client information to be fully exposed, right? So it's really important when you're building a full stack application that none of your logs or publicly displayed actions are actually displaying any personal information, whether that's for your own company or other users of the platform. New implementation can produce the reference build using the tools, variables, and commands in this guide. Yep. Deployment operations, local validation, staging. So this is kind of like the operations of this typical full stack development. So these are some recommendations. So official setup references. We can actually go to some of these websites and just kind of browse around. Fast API is basically Python's typical backend development process for HTTP routing and things like that. So yeah, so you can always go through these information documentation. So I'd actually want to go through OCR My PDF. I'm not as familiar with this tool. So you would just kind of go in through here, OCR My PDF documentation, go through what kind of APIs they offer. So page number filters, check optional. So that you have like a bunch of tools in this API that you can use as well. So when you're building out the features and everything, you should be able to go through all the documentation, ask ChatGPT as well, and figure out which endpoints that you need to implement this. And then from there, you can actually see what your options are, right? And then ultimately, we can go back and for this user, build out the full application, right? So we have like the baseline. You already have like the kind of like the base of what the full stack application can have, and then you can present it to these guys and do it in stages, right? So first milestone would be this very minimal viable product, just to recognize like this is the right direction that you're going. So not jumping right into building out the full stack application, because this isn't something that you can actually like one shot. It actually takes quite a long process. And then eventually you want to deploy it to like Amazon or Amazon AWS or something like that, something more durable. And you could actually also use Supabase or something like Fly.io. I feel like that interface is a little bit more simpler for beginners, and like ChatGPT or Claude integrates pretty well with those platforms as well, right? So yeah, so overall, if you guys have any questions, please leave a comment below, and then we can also discuss it in our school community. Yeah, so if you also want like the full build of this, I can try to make maybe not this full application because it is quite heavy, but a little bit more dense than the actual document, the implementation guide here, right? So if you guys want that, leave a comment, let me know. And yeah, so on to the next one. All right, guys, so this is the next kind of job. So for this job, it's an Instagram follower list enrichment and AI classification job. So basically what this user basically has is 37,000 users in like a JSON file, I guess. And they want us to parse the JSON, export it into a Google Sheets by username and profile URL. Enrich every profile using Appify, so bio, external link, follower count, post count, public profile, and verified status. If you guys don't know what Appify is basically this kind of site that you go to where there's a bunch of, I guess, workers or implemented scrapers or really any tool that you can kind of think of. Is basically publicly built, or I guess maybe some Appify internal people also build it. But basically, essentially, you can find tools like Instagram scrapers or any type of other scrapers in the market, and you can basically use this tool and input like your, I guess, like the followers or like a type of video or a post, and it'll scrape all the users in that post or a follower list. But this person already has the user list. So we just have to pass in the user list to one of these scrapers and then pull out the information that they want here. So, and then we want to filter the property related bios using a keyword list of supply. So they give us some keywords. So for profiles, passing the filters, pull the latest 10 post captions. Run each through the Cloud API to classify each one. So this is the AI aspect of it. So we're classifying it into educators, beginners, operators, adjacent stuff. So brokers and builders, whatnot, not property, plus a free text field capturing any unique count, profile size, or company name mentioned. Deliver one Google Sheet sorted by category with clickable profile links. Requirements: prior experience running Appify actors at volume, comfortable calling the Cloud API in a script or via make.com. Make run entirely on Appify own infrastructure. So this is fairly simple. Let me switch to my whiteboard. Honestly, I just probably don't even have to do this, but it's just an excuse to actually use this whiteboard thing. I don't know if you guys use a e-ink tablet, but they're pretty cool. So it may not be as smooth as iPad, but it's good for my purposes. So basically, so we have the list. So this is the Instagram followers. And essentially, we'll take this list, parse it. So we're going to parse it into the given file. So we want it parsed into the username and the profiles. And then we'll take that list, and then essentially more on a high level. So we'll take that into the Apify API, and then we'll kind of like scrape whatever it can. So we gave list of stuff. So we want, what do we want? We want to scrape. So we want the, sorry, one second. So the bio, external link, follower count, post count, etc. I don't need to write out this whole thing. And then we'll put all that into an Excel sheet. And what else do they want? So deliver one Google Sheet. So we want that in the Google like Excel sheet, and then I'll just continue from here. We want Claude to filter out the categories that they wanted. So the educator, the operator, etc. And then from there, we want it passed back into another Google sheet. So that's essentially the very high level, disgusting diagram that I wanted, but I think it helps with kind of visualizing what the flow is. So now that we have that kind of figured out, we can go into my implementation doc. So, all right, so in this Instagram follower enrichment kind of documentation, this is like the full implementation document. So what we're actually kind of doing here is we want an outcome. Enrich public Instagram profiles, filter cheaply, classify suppliers with Claude, and produce a resumable review workbook. So we're running a 50 profile sample. This is just going to be a sample build, interrupt it, resume, and show that failures and near misses are preventable. So this is the MVP kind of product. So these are the tools that we are going to be using. Python for the pipeline and CLI. Apify for the Instagram actor. So we'll just review and choose one of the Apify actors that are available. And then we'll also use Claude's API. So it's essential for you to review those documentations and then go through the Claude API and see how we can use that to be able to filter out exactly which categories we want to split these into. And Polars is a fast CSV transform, so it'll just help Python delegate these things. SQLite is our checkpoint ledger, so it's just a light database that we can build with Python, and the XLS X writer, so we're reviewing the workbook. So these are this kind of the things that we are going to be using. So this is the architecture that we're going to be going through. Kind of explained this already. So we have the input, Apify enriches it, rule filter, Claude classifies it, checkpoint, database, and then workbook. So this document is basically kind of going through how we're going to do it. So we're going to create the CLI. It's very basic. Enrich public profiles. So we'll use the Apify actor again. So we'll apply cheap rules first for just filtering those things out. Classify suppliers in batches, build a review workbook, scale only after the sample passes. So that's kind of like the high level implementation guide there. Validation checklist. So we don't want no Instagram login credentials. We want checklists to private delete profiles remain visible as failures. Every model result maps to exactly one profile ID. Interrupt runs resumes without repeating completed API calls. Near misses are exported before Claude classification. So that's like kind of the nice checklist that we have right there. And then we want repeatable test resets. So reset to known fictional dataset, clear or archive old provider events, confirm integrations, run the happy path and compare any results, inject one failure and verify recovery from the correct checkpoints. And also have like definition of done, what it could be. And this is just like the high level deployment. We want local staging and then production readiness and operations. That's just basic production value. So these are also the setup references. So we have the Apify documentation, docs, Anthropic docs, Polaris, XLS writer, and yeah, so we can go through those documentations and review it as well. So if you guys want, again, for this to be implemented as a full end-to-end application step-by-step, I can also implement this. Just let me know. I can't create full implementations for all the kind of things I review. So if you guys want this implemented, please leave a comment below and I'll see which one's the most popular and then implement it from there. Or we can discuss it also in my school community. So hop in there, join. It's a free community, so we can discuss back and forth some ideas and where we can go from there. So yeah, that's it for this implementation. All right, so this is the next job posting. So this is an AI-powered short-form video automation system. So we're looking for an experienced AI automation developer to build a complete system that automatically creates and publishes short-form video for YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. This just I don't know why I'm fumbling sometimes. Yeah, so the system should take a topic or a keyword as input and automatically generate a video script, voiceover using TTS, which is just text to speech, a complete vertical short form video, captions or subtitles, title, description, hashtags, platform specific post content. So they want it basically posted anywhere. Automatic publishing to, important requirements. The final output must be an actual video with moving images, moving footage, animation, generated video clips, or other dynamic visual content. We're not looking for a simple image slideshow with voiceover. AI and large language models requirements. Because API costs can become expensive, we prefer using a local LLM and local hosted AI tools whenever practical. So something like Olama or something like that. However, we're also open to paid AI APIs when they provide significant better video quality or reliability. The system should be designed so that the large language model provider can be changed easily. Local and cloud-based AI models can be switched through the configuration. Different text-to-speech or video generation services can be added later. The entire system can be installed easily on another computer or server, which is good for Dockerizing images, right? API key models, languages, and output settings can be changed without modifying the core code. A Docker-based setup or another portable installation method is preferred. So core feature script generation. The AI creates an engaging short-form video optimized for platforms such as YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikToks. Language selection. You must be able to select the output language. Initial language may include English, Korean, but the system should support. So text-to-speech, the system generates natural sounding voice narration. So it's essentially what they're asking is basically those short form videos that you've probably already seen already of like those, probably like a cartoon or somewhere in the background, and there's a AI voice as well. Which also, like, to be fair, it's annoying a little bit to see these videos, but a lot of them perform decently well. So maybe at scale, some of these videos could actually be helpful for a business. Again, the video should not be a collection of static images. Review and approval. Ideally, the user should be able to preview the generated scripted video before publishing. Should also be possible to regenerate or manually edit the script voices. So this is actually a very heavy built full stack application that they're kind of want. So $1,000 probably not enough for this, but yeah, so let's go back to the whiteboard and see exactly what we can do right now. So oops, sorry guys. As soon as I switched it over, it shut down. Okay, is it back? Let's see. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Whiteboard. Let's refresh this. Of course, right when I try to use it. Am I editing this in, keeping this in? I don't know. Okay, cool. So we are back. Okay, so essentially, what I'm going to be kind of explaining is the text-to-speech, or like the text version of it, generating like the actual script. So basically, they want us to have a keyword. So we'll have the keyword, and then we'll pass this to a large language model. And then this large language model will take the keywords and then create a full-on script that we can kind of break down and edit as long as way. So we would have to pass in, sorry. So we have to pass in a certain prompts to this large language model. So prompts, and then create it so that it's strict prompts. So consistent outputs, so that we're not just asking it to take this keyword and generate a random script, right? So it has to be on brand or on the exact kind of output that this business wants. And we'll take that large language model output and then just put it to some sort of Excel or ledger to keep track of it. And then from there, we can use like some sort of video generation tool in order to kind of create a video based on this implementation, whether that's a talking head or a full-blown kind of animation. So we can do that, and then that'll create output, maybe some sort of a dashboard where people can see approval process for this dashboard. So that's kind of a high level of where what can be possible, what we can do for just like the initial MVP version of it, and then we can actually go from there. So let's go to 1 second. Make myself big for a second. Sure. So this is the implementation doc. It's a very MVP level of what we want to do. So we're starting with one end-to-end business outcome. Expand scope only after the smallest path is repeatable. And the outcome that we want is turn one approved source, assess asset into a reviewable vertical video package with captions, voice, and render status. So focus MVP is what we're using here. So we're looking at NAN orchestrating it, right? So if you guys don't know what NAN is, go here. So it's workflow automation. So we can basically, it's basically for all kinds of automation. They also have IT, or sorry, not IT, AI agents and APIs for pretty much all the tools that you use. So it just makes it very easy to use. But since I enjoy making more custom builds, we can always go back to using actual code to create a lot of this. But just for the initial orchestration, it'd be good using Node and TypeScript Worker. So TypeScript Worker on fly.io or somewhere locally. So Worker essentially is something that works in the background. So basically, if you have if you want a server to be able to scrape a bunch of keywords or leads or something like that, we can send it to a worker, and it can process data as without you supervising it or initiating it. So if there's like an update on an Excel file, worker, it can be passed on to a worker, and a worker can continuously process data that as it comes through. FFmpeg, this is video rendering. So for the final output, so S3 compatible object store. S3 is basically AWS's object store or something similar. So a lot of these object stores use S3. So whatever provider you go with is ultimately going to be using S3, but you just need an object store to store all the videos or in all the implementation. OpenAI response API as well. We want to be able to use the OpenAI APIs to get the scripts create the videos, determine any keywords and things like that. So it'll be very useful for that. And then we need a Postgres job ledger. This is basically for creating our core database. We can also use Supabase or something like that. And yeah, so the basic architecture for this would be the webhook, Postgres insert a job, and then OpenAI generates the structured script, and then execute, wait for it, pull the render, and then we can send the render off to the business for approval, and then from there we can post or put it on any other sort of platform. Usually, these platforms don't like that if you use like an automated ways of like posting and things like that. So it's better if you actually post it manually. So that's something I would push back on this client. Just make sure that they can post it actually by hand after they approve it. And then yeah, so they can go from there. So we can build in this order. This is also kind of like the structure of how we want to go about it. Verify the inbound, implement bounded decisions, test, and then there's also failure handling. So it's very important to think about also like the bad outcomes that can happen. So validation checklist: assign synthetic input reaches the intended outcome. Turn one approved source asset into a viewable vertical video caption and render status. So it's like the big important part, make that approved. The same provider event can be replayed without a second external mutation, malform input, and valid. So these are it's just essentially a high level checklist of the implementation. And then, so if we want to say that we actually built this appropriately, so we want this checklist to be kind of checked off. One end-to-end record reaches the expected final output. The same event or input can be replayed without creating a duplicate. One intentional failure is detected. Secret and real customer data are absent from repositories. A new implementer can reproduce a reference build using the tools, variables, and commands in this guide. So again, deployment, same thing. So this is basically the deployment process: local, staging, production, and then fully operational. So these are some of like the setup references. So you can actually go to one of these and just check out the references that we used in this guide and how it works. This is the queuing process for N8N. FFmpeg is important to look at as well. Look through this documentation, ask ChatGPT to kind of summarize some of this stuff, and then OpenAI documentation. So essentially, that's the basic full build for this job. So if you guys have any questions or want to see me actually implement this in full, again, leave it in the comments. We can also discuss in the free school community. So yeah, so just let me know, and then we can review it a little bit more details and see where we can go from there. And yeah.